In for a wild night.
Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody to episode 105 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back on a beautiful but rainy spring Friday evening here in Portland, Oregon. I'm laughing over here because I'm joined by two of my favorite people. One, which is wearing a very silly hat, and not the person that you would normally associate with ridiculous hats, but so our good friend filling in for E-Sheep City, who's moving from one state to another, SchmoopieDaddy. My goodness. What were we thinking letting you back on this show?
See, here's the thing. You guys failed to serve me an eviction notice. So I think I've been here long enough to claim squatters' rights.
It's like
that's a motion I'm going to be filing. It's a good thing there are no lawyers here to challenge my case in court.
Objection.
Yeah, I don't know. There's one sitting right here. I see him.
You know what? I meant to put in new sound effects, and that was on my short list. Was the Phoenix Wright objection? And I didn't. I
love that game.
It's so good. I have a short list. So my short list of sounds to get, because we were talking about Secret Mage, I wanted to pull some from other games. So there's Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where Dracula goes, "What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets." I love that. I wanted to get Deckard Cain from Diablo, the classic "Stay a while and listen." I want the Peon, the work. I want the Phoenix Wright objection. There's I don't know if you guys have played Mass Effect, but there's the creepy shepherd. Oh, I'm definitely interested. Like it's I need the Austin Powers $1 million, that one.
Gotta soup up the soundboard.
I need of course the hot bucket. We need that one. That's
definitely.
That's a must. I wanted the Arnold.
It's one of the new Mech Mage cards.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I play with the sound off. I don't know.
You're missing out.
Voice. I don't know all the voice lines yet.
You are missing out. I need to get the Arnold Schwarzenegger from Kindergarten Cop. The "Stop whining." I want that, and then I want Cartman's beefcake. Anyways, so I have a list going. I just got busy. So, anyways, sorry to start the show off going down a rabbit hole, but welcome back, Hydralisk. How are you this week?
I'm doing great. Finally, Friday has come. Work's been absolutely nuts this week. It's month end for us, so it's absolutely crazy. We had a record day today, so I'm just happy that it's over with. I'm happy to be here, excited to talk some Hearthstone with you two amazing people.
Yeah, and of course, welcome back, SchmoopieDaddy. Thank you so much for filling in. I really appreciate it. It's always great to see you. And how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, this week kind of flew by for me, but mostly because I forgot what day it was. Frequently, I was in that kind of that fugue state where it's just all right, I'm going to show up and oh, good, I've got a lesson planned. I'm all set to go. I'll do that. Oh, you say it's Tuesday? Oh, okay, sure. I think around Wednesday, I thought was I don't know. I think Thursday, I thought was Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's been a few state. My daughter had a tough night here or there, so I haven't been getting as much sleep as usual. But other than that, it's always really fun to come on the podcast. As a fan of the podcast, to be able to contribute is just a dream come true. So this has been really sweet the last 2 weeks.
Oh, we love having you. It's a lot of fun, and I don't know, you just fit right in. We don't have to prep or anything. You just one of the crew. So I love it.
Yeah, for sure. I could see how your days would start blending together there when you're not necessarily sleeping up in the night, sleeping in the morning. Who knows? Babies can do this.
She's doing a combination of urinating more and also growing teeth. So that's we're all right, we guess we got to switch. I guess we got to switch diaper size or switch to nighttime diapers, but like also she's like chewing on everything, including us. So like that's fun.
I just pictured Tiny Finn when you were talking about Schmoopie.
You know what? That's. I haven't shared any pictures of her online, but you could that's it. She's Tiny Finn.
That's great.
Not Snow Clipper Penguin, Tiny Finn.
She's not doing backflips yet, so yeah.
No, just gotta feed her those lethals so she gets big and strong.
That's awesome. Okay, well, for those that are joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how the show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps, so you can check us out all over the place. However you're watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Thank you. Hey, and thank you to everybody also who's joining us here live on Twitch. It's always great to see and interact with you live during the show. So we really appreciate that. And as always, quick housekeeping matters before we get into the meat of the show, but wanted to say a quick but very important thank you to the patrons of our show. We just really appreciate your support. Thank you. Yes, you. In particular, Shokunin, who's the executive producer of our show, has been, supports us financially. We're helping with things like bundle giveaways and website fees and stuff like that. We really appreciate your support. Helps out quite a bit. If you are listening, watching, or anything else, and you're interested in supporting, there are a couple kind of quick and easy ways that you can do it for absolutely for free. If you jump on to YouTube and you like, comment, subscribe on any of our stuff, that helps just with the algorithms and getting people to notice us. Same thing with the podcasts. If you subscribe to any of the podcasts or leave reviews on any of the podcast apps, that helps people find us as well. If you are interested in getting some of our emotes, if you want to subscribe to us on Twitch, we do have some emotes that you can unlock by subbing. This is free if you have Amazon Prime. There are some free ones as well, just for following, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, we do have a Patreon if you're interested in supporting financially for as little as $1 a month. Links to all of that stuff is on our website, which is borntobewildhs.com. Lastly, I just want to throw a quick nod to our Discord. If you're interested in interacting with any of us personally, we do have a Discord server with a bunch of people that, friends that we've made all across the whole world. We talk about Wild Hearthstone and a bunch of other stuff, and it's really fun. So yeah, check out the website. It's borntobewildhs.com, and all that stuff is there. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about real quick before we get into the show proper. We have been sitting on this for a little while. We normally would spend some time on this show talking about what is going to happen upcoming in our listener series. And we've been kind of in the off season, but we're getting ready to start that back up. Really, really, really excited. We're going to be doing something different this season. So for those of you not aware, we're going to be getting into season 5, which is kind of crazy that we've done, this 4 times already, but this is we're tweaking the formula somewhat. So this week is the announcement of the announcement. Like it's like 95% done, but there's a couple final tweaks, so we'll be presenting the whole shebang next week when Sheep is back. That being said, for those of you who are interested and kind of diehards who want to sign up early, the sign up sheet is live. I am posting the link right now in the Twitch chat for anybody that's interested in signing up. It will be live on the Discord and on our website this weekend as well, with a formal announcement and all of the cool stuff following in next week's show. But for anybody who's interested in signing up, it's available right now. It is free. There is no fee. There's no cost associated whatsoever. It's a weekly wild tournament series with custom deck building restrictions. The main series lasts for 5 weeks, followed by 3 weeks of playoffs. Just one thing to note, in order to get into the playoffs, the points are all cumulative. So you could, like if you lose the first week, you're not like just guaranteed out. Like that's, points are accumulated based on your win rate. And so, even if you lose, say you lose, 1 to 3 or 2 to 3, like you still get points for that, which I'll add up later. And so, anyways, really, really excited to get into this. I want to talk about it so bad, but I'm going to hold off. But for anybody interested, awesome announcement coming next week. But yeah, if anybody wants to sign up early, the sign up sheet is live right now. Okay. I don't want to accidentally spoil anything, but it's fun and it's different than anything that we've done so far.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so and then one other fun thing that we're kind of doing tonight, something a little bit differently, is that we've got a little bit of a mailbag type thing, if you will. And going to be answering some questions before we get into, so we've got a main topic tonight. We are going to be talking about the nerfs. The nerfs happened last week. We talked about them last week, but okay, they've happened. Now, what decks are we going to climb with? And so we'll get into that in a minute, but we do have some questions here from folks. And so wanted to kind of jump into that first. So the first one I have here is from Sanosuke. Says, I see you soliciting possible show topics on Twitter. I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts on being parents and managing your time between family and playing Hearthstone and other games. Just had a kid and went from getting Legend every month to hitting Dad Legend instead. Can I, let me pass this off to SchmoopieDaddy first, I think, because your children are much younger than ours. We have them, but Hydra and I are much older. So let me pass this to you first, and we can all contribute, though.
Sure. I mean, I'd say first and foremost, the fact that Hearthstone's a mobile game is probably the only reason I'm playing it at all. I gave up console games probably when my son was like 4 or 5 months old. Sometimes he'd have a rough night, and I would I'd have him in my arms. I'd have to hold him because Shmoopie was a pain in the butt, and then I'd quietly, stealthily walk upstairs to the PS4 and fire up Monster Hunter. And eventually it got to a point where the TV screen was waking him up. I'm like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I can't play on a console anymore. I don't have time to do it anymore. It being mobile means I can sneak games here or there. I'm proficient enough at this point. I'm basically playing on autopilot anyway. I'll slip in games here or there, if he's doing something independent of me. And then, I do a lot of AFK too, where it's if we want to do something together but I still want, some points toward the rewards track, I might or may not AFK some Mercs PvE, which is perfectly not annoying to anyone, and just uses my battery. So I like to think I do a decent job of juggling Hearthstone in my family. Because there's a lot of time that we get one-on-one, but I'm at a part in my career too where a lot of my stuff is on rails. I grade things quick. I do my lesson planning is the same stuff I was doing 3 years ago with minor tweaks here or there. Mm-hmm. So perhaps I can play some Hearthstone. It's I don't have a super high intensity job where I have to be on all the time. But when I'm with the class, I'm with the class. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids.
Very good. Hydra, what about you? Any thoughts?
Yeah, when my son was first born 13 years ago, I feel old now, dating myself a bit, but it was definitely hard to get in that video game time. It's very hands-on, right? When you have the little one. So the only time I really got when my son was an infant was if his mother and I were taking turns, right? When it was okay, I would get home from work and I would ease her by taking the baby and doing that thing for a couple hours, give her a break. And then eventually it would be my turn and I would jam a whole bunch of Diablo 2 because I absolutely love that game and Hearthstone did not exist 13 years ago. So that was how I did it. It was only ever if, say, she was taking care of him or he was already in bed, but they wake up right? So it can be quite difficult. However, once they start getting older, it becomes much easier, right? They end up getting little lives of their own, things that they want to do on their own. And it ends up sort of working out. Like right now, I'm doing the podcast and my son is playing Fortnite like over there because he can, right, on his computer. But it takes time to get there, and family's number one, right? So if a video game has to suffer, the video game has to suffer. So you can always squeeze it in. You can on that time you get, but I tried definitely dedicating most of my time to my family at that point.
Yeah.
Nate, how about yourself? How do you do it, Mr.
You know what?
Mr.
It's funny.
Legend?
The reason that I'm pausing is because I'm sitting here typing to my son on Discord because he's being too loud trying to ask me questions sitting right next to me over there. So there you go. He's like, hey, did you see my question? Do you see? I'm trying to record a podcast right now. Anyways. So, but you balance, like you said, right? And I think when the older that they get, it's easier because like your son is off playing Fortnite and my son is downloading Minecraft mods. But it's okay. I'm not upset. I'm just joking. You're good. He's laughing over here. And so, but like I remember, it felt like yesterday when he was born, and you really have to prioritize, and that's difficult. I think, we say it all the time here. Family is always, takes a priority to hobbies. And, it's hard sometimes. I think I've been where you're at, where, I'm on this streak. I hit legend every month. I don't want to break the streak. Part of the reason why I hit legend every month is because I'm too stubborn to like break my streak. And I can't, I'm not willing to like give that up. But, work is more important than games. Family is more important than games. And like, you just gotta, you gotta prioritize. The cool thing is that because it's on mobile, you can kind of play it more casually when there's free time. And I don't think there's anything wrong between, getting legend every month versus hitting dad legend every month. For those of you not familiar, dad legend referring to, God, back in the day, it was
rank 5 at the time. Now it's like D10 or D5. It's in there somewhere in diamond or whatever.
Especially with a 9x multiplier, like especially
9x
system where you're like, a 9x is basically you're putting in almost the same amount of games to get to legend, but like you're at D5, and that's you run out of streaks, and you're like, okay.
Hey, well, and I think back in the day, like if you had asked Ben Reddington, I think is the father of dad legend community, right? And the idea was that like, dad legend means different things to different people. Could be, D10, it could be D5, it could be, and yes, moms can be dad legend or whatever. It's more of a, I think, philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
and this game is supposed to be fun. You got to prioritize. I like I have Hearthstone on my phone. I have Hearthstone on my iPad. I do think that I don't like playing on my phone personally. Like I just, between fat fingers and like old man eyes, like it is just a little bit too small for me. I love playing on the iPad. I think the iPad is wonderful. I don't know. I've hit legend on the iPad a couple of times. It's great. It's convenient. I can play, on the couch or the recliner or in bed or in the bath. Like, and you kind of take those breaks when you can, especially with little kids. I think, when my son was first born, I remember like he slept all the time. And so you'd hold him like a football in one hand and hold the iPad or the controller in the other hand. And like, you take the time that you can. But at the end of the day, it's a game, and you just gotta, you get to it when you can. I will say, family first always.
Yeah, and they call it dad legend for a reason, right? It's like it's as much time as you actually have to put into it, right? Like, so you can make this gold. It's basically your version of legend. Like, this is all the time that I have to get to this goal this month. So I think that it's really cool, that whole philosophy of here's where I want to be, and I only have this limited amount, of time as a parent to get there. And I think that that's absolutely amazing, and that's just a really good philosophy of where you need to be, and if and that makes you happy. Like I myself, I bounce between, like, I have 10x this month, and I haven't got to play very much, and I might not have it. I've got like a couple days left, like 2 today and tomorrow to hit legend, and I didn't do it, and I've got 10x right now. That might be 9x next month.
Yeah, Shmoopie Mommy's not in yet. She's had a busier month than I have. She's had a lot of times where I've had to stay after school and do something with after school programs, a little bit of like coaching, and it's been really intense this month, leading up to our competition, and like she's like at like D3. We might get her in tomorrow, we might not. Well, we got to see. She's kind of like, well, I'll play, and if I get in, I get in. If not, I don't. So like that, sometimes life just happens, and it doesn't work out. But that's so. That's
okay. What? There's always next month. I mean, you know what? It's not the end of the world, and
if you lose a star, you can get it back. It just kind of sucks a little bit to re-earn it, but it's not impossible. It just basically, you have to remember, if you played in the old ladder version, the old version of ladder, it not having a bonus star is just going back to the old way ladder used to be. Right? Yeah. So that's how I try to envision it when I need to earn that star back. It's just the way it used to be.
Yeah, I didn't climb too competitively in that system.
Yeah.
Well, I found that last little push from rank 5 to legend just like way too anxiety inducing that I couldn't do it. But if I enjoy the format, like I could take 9x legend in wild easy because I enjoy the format so much. I get bored in standard at like 9x. Like I'm at like D3 right now in standard. I have been for 2 weeks. I don't think I'm gonna push for legend and standard. I don't have the motivation to. I don't find the meta particularly interesting.
No, and you know what? Like, you make a good point. I think that different people have different goals. Ages ago, like, I just wanted to hit legend so bad. I wanted the achievement. I wanted to feel good about my skills. I wanted to get the card back, like, and say I did it. And so I did it. Like, I think the first time was in 2018, and after that, I did nothing but rank 5 or D5 or dad legend for over a year, maybe 2, maybe closer to 2. I don't know, a long time, because it was like at the time the difference in end of month rewards was it was a golden epic for rank 5, and it was a golden epic and a golden common or something for legend. It was like why bother? I'm not gonna. There's no bonus stars. There's no like. It just wasn't worth it, frankly. And like, it's like, cool, I did the thing. I can say I did it. I'm proud of myself. Now I don't need to anymore. And so the question here is, so now, okay, you get some packs for your climb, and so like, is it worth one extra pack? Like, different people have different reasons for playing. I think, as long as you kind of make it fun. I will say, like, I want to move on because we got a lot to talk about, but I think that my 2 quick pieces of advice would be, mobile gaming is great. Play on a phone, play on an iPad. I do recommend, like, don't play control decks if you're going to do this, because, like, I don't know, you play for half an hour on a cell phone or it's you want to jam fast games. So the aggro decks, like, I recommend personally, I kind of like that. And, you get them in where you can. I used to play on the train. Like, I would commute into downtown on the train, and like, but I had to play fast games because, like, when you go through the tunnel, you lose connection, and you can't play you can't play slow grindy control matchups. And you get it where you can. But anyways, hey, congrats on having a kid. That's super cool. So very, very neat. All right, another question we got this is from Tony Lahoud. I'm probably mispronouncing your name. I apologize. Question here: Highlander decks in Wild and how they can balance the meta. I don't know, what the actual question is there, but we're going to talk about some Highlander decks later tonight, at least one. Real quick, I actually do think that there's a few Highlander decks that are viable right now. Reno Warlock, especially like Reno Even Warlock, is actually pretty good. Reno Paladin is surprisingly good. And I've seen a couple of people playing Reno Priest. I kind of think it's bait, but like it could work. Reno Shudderwock Shaman is a deck as well. And again, I don't think it's as good, but like your Reno Paladin and Reno Warlock are probably actually pretty decent at the moment. So we're going to be talking about decks later. And we'll touch especially on that Reno Paladin deck. So unless either of you have anything to add, I'm just going to skip to the next one, but I didn't want to not touch on it.
No, that's pretty much it. I think like the format is sped up to the point where like healing to full on 6, you're still facing down a board that's going to put you right back at the same health total you were at.
Yeah.
So Reno isn't really like the end all be all. Oh, I answered your threat. We're done here.
It's more like a stall for a turn.
Than it used to be. He's a stall for a turn.
Yeah.
And as good as Zephyrs is, like, Zephyrs can't solve every problem, and you don't. It's only a one up. You don't always have them in your hand. So no, Nate, I think you pretty much covered the ones that are major players right now.
Yeah, I think they're all right. All right, Gasu, our old friend, wants to talk about anime. This is not an anime show, Gasu. Get out of here. Hey, I don't know. People ask for anime recommendations from time to time. Full Metal Alchemist is really good. Attack on Titan is really good. I don't know. I don't watch a ton of it, but there's some good stuff. I tried watching.
Take one of these recommendations sometime because I have legit watched next to zero anime. The only anime I've ever really seen is Akira, the movie. The one that came out in like
a classic.
1986 or something.
I think 86, 88. Yeah, that's old.
I have it. I have a copy of it. And I thought that was super cool, but that's basically the only thing I've ever watched anime.
There's actually a lot on like Hulu and Netflix and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll take recommendations. Here's the thing that I noticed. We talk about being a parent. Like, I have less time than I used to do stuff in my free time. And so if I'm going to watch a show or listen to a book, an audiobook, or read a book or play a game, like, it has to be good. I'm not going to spend time on something that sucks. And
Wait a minute. You watched all of Hoarders.
Yeah. I did it while playing Hearthstone. But you're right. There's that was what do you call guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll take recommendations. I like I played Ghost of Tsushima on PS4. And then I played like the new Assassin's Creed after, and it was like it just was terrible by comparison. I'm like, I'm not playing this. The Ghost of Tsushima just blew it out of the water. So anyways, but I don't know. There's so much anime. I don't have time to watch, 8,000 episodes of One Piece or Naruto.
There's too much One Piece. There's too much One Piece. I know enough about anime to be dangerous. Like, I believe it or not, my students are really into it. Like, when I was going through high school, like, if you're into anime, you were weird.
Yeah.
And now it's like I have like, I see like, okay, obviously I teach like an elective level class. So I'm basically teaching people like Hydra. So when they're on their phones, they're like multitasking and they're not always 100% focused on physics all the time. Shocking, I know. And like I'll have like sporty girls watching stuff. I'm like, you would never be caught dead watching this when I was in high school. It's kind of cool. So I've gotten anime recommendations. But the stuff that I've enjoyed personally, Knights of Sidonia, but like it's like bait because it's basically like a lot of the animes that they make cartoons. they're trying to hook you into reading the manga to figure out what happens. So they leave you on a giant cliffhanger that feels completely horrible. You're like, I need to know what happens next. It's like, well, go read the manga.
Yeah.
I really liked Psychopaths, which is another kind of like dark one. The Fate series are good. Outlaw Star was like my gateway. That or Dragon Ball Z, honestly. Dragon Ball Z was my gateway to anime.
Dragon Ball Z, like, that's another one where there's like 8 bazillion episodes and 5 different like spin-off series, and like I just don't know where to start.
You just start with one of them. Well, I think Dragon Ball Z was the one because like Dragon Ball was the older one, right? But Dragon Ball is like it's much less PC. It's a little bit more weeby. Like it's a little bit. It's like a little bit on the like, this is not something I really want to watch kind of side. But it's important for lore. But as opposed to Dragon Ball Z, was just like, I know I was watching it when I was like 7 or 8, the first dubbed versions as they were coming out. I was like waking up before my parents and turning on the TV at like 6 a.m. in the morning, and there it is, and I'm like, this show's awesome. And they actually was doing so well, they moved it up a time slot. I remember when they were like, okay, we're going to start showing this at 7. I'm like, we're showing it at 7 now? It's a real show. So it's like, it was cool. So like, I don't know, like that's basically my anime experience. I think my favorite overall is probably Outlaw Star.
All right.
You know what? It was a classic one. It has some odd episodes. I'm not going to lie to you. It has some ones you're just like, I could just skip this. There's reason why Cartoon Network skipped this. Yeah. But it's just the character's really cool and the concept's really cool, and I enjoy it.
I like it. There's one called Claymore that I loved. Absolutely great. The anime is great. The manga is great. Berserk is one of my favorites. It's super dark and heavy.
Super dark. That's the kind that I like, and that one was almost too dark for me.
That one's
dark. That one's trying to hook you into the manga. One's trying to hook you into the manga. It is,
and that one will break your heart, I'll tell you. All right, let's move on then. Next question is from No Life King. He just says the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Bro, it costs $25. If you want to buy it from me, I'll play it. It looks good. I read the synopsis. I just don't want to pay money for it.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know what it is.
So here's the premise. It's a game. It's like a first-person mystery type game. So you're in like an office building type thing, but like all of your coworkers have vanished, and you start going through all the stuff to try to figure out like, well, where did they go? It's like a mystery thing. Like I mean, I'm not doing it justice, but like I did the quick read through. He was swearing up and down by it yesterday or the day before, and like, sounds cool. I just don't want to spend the money on it. If it goes on sale when Steam does all the sales, like in the summertime or whatever, I'll buy it.
Like every Wednesday.
Right. I just don't want. I'll put it on my wish list so I get a notification when it's cheaper. I just don't want to spend $25 on it right now. When it goes down to like 5 or 10, I'll buy it.
That's how Steam gets you. How many people have games on their laptop or PC that they bought from Steam on discount that they never played?
If I had more hands, I would put them up.
Yeah. So they're like it'll happen at some point.
It'll happen. I have no doubt that the game is great, so I'll take your recommendation. All right. Next question is from Steven Sensei, and this is a question that is the follow-up on Coin Concede, where so Alkali came on Coin Concede, and they were talking about the upcoming creator content program and asking stories about work friends, and they were talking about Nick Weiss, Deck Tech, and she was talking about how he makes coffee like he microwaves water and then puts the instant coffee packet in it, and it's just everyone like gave him crap about it for a week because it's awful. That's really gross. So the question says the coffee making preferences of each host and your takes on Deck Tech's methods. I will go first on this. Number one, like, I don't know, my dad drinks instant coffee and I just don't like it. We have a Keurig and I love it. I will say I used to brew the coffee in the coffee pot, but the problem is like I'm the only one that drinks it, and so we make a big pot of coffee and then throw away most of it. And so I bought a Keurig machine, and way back when, like, the little pods were super expensive, but now you can get them really cheap. You get them online from like Walmart or Fred Meyer or one of those like grocery store like knockoff brands. Like, they're expensive if you buy the Starbucks ones, but when you buy the the like store brands, they're cheap. And then I can make 1 cup and drink it. And if I want another cup, then I just make another one. But if I don't, like, I'm not throwing any away. And so I have one in my office at work, and I have one here at the house, and it's wonderful. So that's what I do. When I for a while there, like, I was doing this low carb diet. I lost like 30 pounds, a little bit over 30 pounds, and it's been great. But like, I stopped drinking creamer with the coffee, which at first was really weird, but then I just got used to it. And so now I'm on like black coffee. I'll put a little bit of sweet and low in it, but like, it's not bad. I like the pods, so I don't know. Hydra, do you drink coffee?
Yeah, so I used to drink too much coffee and I put too much junk in it, right? So, like, I used to load my coffee up. It was so unhealthy. Like sugar cubes, I'd put like 5 of them in there or whatever, and like squeeze a whole bunch of creamer, and it was just this like warm sugar with a coffee flavor in it. That's basically what it would end up tasting like. And I drink these throughout the day. And I found myself gaining weight. Weird, hey? Because like I'm putting so much junk in it. And this is like 12 years ago or something. And I said at some point in time I wanted to lose some weight because I put a bunch on. And so I went straight black. And since then, I have been straight black coffee the entire time for about 12 years straight now. It's only black coffee. And I also have a Keurig like Nate does. It's right in the kitchen over there. And it's great because, I mean, as long as you're actually recycling your pods or whatever, it's not the most environmentally friendly thing because you have all these plastic little pods. But if you're recycling them, awesome. But it's great because you could just make the 1 cup, like Nate was saying. You have the one thing, one and done. You didn't waste a whole bunch. And I did try one thing, a little bit of a guilty pleasure that's sort of reverting me back to 12 years ago. I bought a creamer that is a coffee crisp creamer and poured it into my coffee. And oh my gosh, it's way too good. I let my wife drink it. She's having it now. I had 1 cup with it, and it is like liquid heaven with this coffee crisp creamer in it. So I had to not continue with that. I had the 1 glass cup, and that was it. But yeah, black coffee for me. That's it.
Shmoopie, you got 2 kids. I imagine you probably drink coffee.
I do not ingest coffee in the morning.
What about in the evening?
Unless it's been an absolutely horrible night, and I need to operate a motor vehicle, I do not really ingest caffeine.
Wow, you're a champion. That's hard.
I'm also 33, so I was going to say, I had one of those today because I was falling asleep 7th period showing a black hole movie, and black hole video on YouTube, and I was like, okay, don't want to drive off of the turnpike that I'm on the way home, so I'm going to drink some Red Bull. So like when I when I do caffeine, it's like let's go 100 miles an hour. Or I'll have like those like Starbucks like milky
the
whatever
frappuccino things.
Yeah. The really bougie thing my family does is my dad enjoys espresso from an espresso kettle. So he'll do like, you get like the powdered espresso, you put it in the bottom, you get it to the right level. You boil I think you screw it on, you put the amount of water in, you boil it on the stove. I've got an Uncle Tony who's an in-law, and Uncle Tony.
Oh, man. I was thinking that's what I was.
How to make the espresso. You don't mess up with the espresso. 1 scoop of sugar. And so I've learned how to do it properly, even though I don't drink it. But yeah, I mostly stay away from caffeine unless I absolutely need it to function. And actually, I'd argue that like people are like getting on Deck Tech for the wrong reasons. Like Deck Tech is like clearly like he just needs the caffeine. He doesn't care what the vessel is, right? Like he's just the caffeine addict, and so he's honest about what he is. He doesn't need to like dress it up in any kind of like fancy blend from Colombia or something like that, right? He's just like, I just give me my caffeine, so I'll just use my instant coffee and my boiled water. It's like drinking cheap beer for people. They're just like, oh yeah, so
yeah, they just they don't care.
I love Coors Light. Coors Light totally sponsor this show. We'd love to have your money. No, but like, it's like, oh yeah, I love it. It's
excellent.
So I think that's the headspace Deck Tech is in. But like, to finish on a more humorous note, isn't Deck Tech the one that like delayed an expansion launch or a patch or something like that because he spilled coffee on his computer? And he's like, I totally didn't spill coffee on my computer. That's totally not the reason why the patch isn't out yet. Do you guys remember this?
I do not.
It happened last year or recently. Like he was just like, yeah, there may or may not have been a cup of coffee that went on a certain important laptop before this patch launched, and like Twitter was like losing their minds. They're like, patchware, Naxware.
Oh god, that's funny. I don't know if it was Deck Tech or not. Maybe I thought, but he mostly does patch notes and stuff. I don't know.
I think it was him if memory serves. But in any case, I like this. The snobs can get snobby, but like he's at least honest. He just wants the caffeine. That's all.
What?
It's just chemical dependence. give the man a break.
Yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense.
I appreciate that. I've been on a steady caffeine diet since law school, and that's just that'll do it. All right, we got one more question, and we're gonna kind of gloss over this one because we're gonna talk about it in just a second. So, this question is from Kevin Ellis, Multizord. I want to know more about Mech Mage and Wild. What decks really lean into the archetype with the new cards from Voyage? So the main topic for tonight's show actually is post-nerf decks to climb with, and Mech Mage is one of them. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. So, yeah. Hooray!
Hooray!
Okay. So I'm not going to skip the question, but we're going to get into it in just a minute. So good question. The timing is just right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decks. 6 decks to talk about tonight. Looking at the idea of what to climb with post-nerf. And so the nerfs we were talking about, Wild specific, because the other ones didn't really make a huge impact. We're talking about Kael'thas not being, the third spell is no longer 0. The third spell is down to 1. I have seen some people playing it. I think that it's a little sus right now. It's probably still okay, but like, we don't have any Druid decks tonight. The other one is that Switcheroo was banned, so the cheaty Boar Darkness Priest deck is just gone in Wild anyhow. So there's still some other decent Priest decks. I think they're calling it like Light Glare or something like that. The idea is to, you play a bazillion spells and you get like a free Arcane Giant and the other big 7/8 taunt things that cost 0 after you play a bunch of spells. Anyways,
Graveyard Colossus,
Graveyard Titan, Graveyard
something.
Yeah,
I don't.
Graveyard something.
It's the deck is really interesting. I have played it a handful of times because people keep asking me to play it, and like, I don't really like it very much.
It's one of these like high legend like fugue states that like if you're big brain enough to like pilot it, it's a good deck.
You just have to do it right, and it's a little bit complicated, and like I always go off too soon when I play it, and it's not really my jam. I'm not trying to dunk on anyone. It's cool. It ain't me.
One of my team captain for THL last season once said to me, because I was playing Frog Shaman, and I was like I was figuring it out, but I was trying to figure it out into like the combo priest matchup, which turned out was like a really difficult matchup, even though I thought I was going to be like fine. And he said to me, it's just like, like Frog Shaman's okay, but it's like it's a deck that takes 200% of your brain to eke out a 50% win rate. Like, just play something out.
Grave Horror.
Yep.
Grave Horror.
Thank you.
And so like that's I think that's what Light Glare is right now.
Yes.
That being said, if it turns out that you use 200% of your brain and it gets you like a 65-70% win rate, that's worth like that was where Dark Lair was, right? Like as far as like a skill cap goes, where it was a really big brain deck, but also rewarded that work you put into it in spades. So it's yet to be seen whether or not that's at that level. I still think Combo Priest is the best priest deck right now.
I think so
good,
too.
but it's not in our list tonight.
Yeah, so we're looking at these are like new, quote unquote, new decks. So we have a few, and this is not to say like these are all of the decks. These are just the ones that we brought because we couldn't bring 20. So I had an experience this week. I got a cold, not COVID, thankfully. We all passed it around. My son was sick, and then it was about a week, and my wife and I were like, "Oh, cool, we dodged it somehow," and then we got sick. And so I took off work Tuesday and Wednesday. I just had a sore throat, and it's basically better now, which is great. But with 2 days on my hands, with nothing else to do, so the first couple of days, like I spent in the Nerf waiting room, and like I wanted to play really bad. I wanted to climb the legend ladder, and like I was just frustrated because I kept running into like these cheaty decks, the Kael'thas Druid and the Switcheroo Priest, and there's some, you could play Shudderwock Shaman with like just a ton of disruption, 2 Dirty Rats and 2 the mech one, whatever it's called, that like pulls something out. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. You know what I'm talking about? Hecklebot. Yeah. But it was like, I played some rogue stuff, but like, there wasn't much you could do. I spent a couple of days, or well, I guess it was one day playing Secret Mage, just running 2 potions of polymorph, and was like dunking on people, and it was hilarious.
And vaporize, can't forget the vaporize.
And vaporize, yeah. So like I was putting all the bad cards in Secret Mage, but it was working, and so I had this like amazing win rate against these 2 decks, and just was losing to everything else.
That's it.
But when the nerfs hit on Tuesday, like I was homesick, and so I played all day and climbed from like, I was somewhere between 800 and 1,000 and got down to 250 legend with, I was at 257 legend with this pirate rogue or swordfish rogue or whatever you want to call it. And so that's the deck that I have tonight to talk about. I think that the list is almost perfect. I'm at about probably like 26, 28 cards out of 30. Do I think that Swordfish will get nerfed? It's possible. I don't know. It's like,
I could see it happening, and I don't want it to happen.
I don't. That's the answer that I have as well, and I was reluctant to like say it out loud. I don't want to breathe life into it. I think that
it have to be wild specific. I don't think it's doing enough in standard.
I don't think it is either, and that's why I think it's safe. It doesn't feel broken though. Like it feels strong.
No. Yes.
I like it better than Kingsbane though, because you can have 2. Now I saw some people running poison in it, and I just don't like it. I don't know. Early versions are running poison. It's okay, but
the list I was running still had poison in it.
Yeah.
Want to read off your list, Nate?
Oh yeah. I'll read it for. Yeah, I appreciate that. So
okay.
here's the caveat, right? So this show we do it live on Twitch. There's graphics. The deck list is up on the screen right now. But for those of you listening to the audio version, you can't see this. So the deck lists with the pictures and the codes are all in the show notes. The links there are in any of the audio podcasts. They're up on our website. They're all over the place. So if you want to copy and paste and stuff, like they're all there. I'll read the list though for the audio folks. So this version, it's 2 copies of Buccaneer, 2 copies of Fillet Fighter, Patches the Pirate, 2 Prize Plunderers, 2 Secret Passage, 2 South Sea Deckhands, 2 Amalgam of the Deep, 2 Cavern Shiny Finder, 2 Eviscerate, 2 Parachute Brigands, 2 Ship's Cannon, 2 Puffer Fist, 2 Swordfish, 2 Dread Corsair, 2 Cutting Class, and Mr. Smite. So I like this. Early versions of the deck were running 2 copies of the 0 mana spell, whatever it's called, preparation.
Yeah.
And then 2 copies of
Raiding party.
Raiding party. Thank you. That's the danger in recording the show after like a 9-hour day of work.
Brain's just addled.
Brain just does not work. Yeah. And the reason I don't like it, I think Raiding Party was okay because there's so many like 1 and 2 cost stuff. But there were so many times when prep was just sitting dead in my hand. Yeah. And like there's no combo cards in here, or very few. It was like I don't need it. I like prep Raiding Party on 1 is crazy good.
Except for when you draw patches with it. Because that happens.
Yeah. And so those left. And in their plays, it's running Cavern Shiny Finder, which pulls your weapon. And you can still draw, like if you draw 2 Cavern Shiny Finders and 2 weapons, like, okay, bummer. But I like it. I feel like the 2 flex spots here are Eviscerate and where is the other one?
The Amalgam.
Oh, the Amalgam of the Deep. And so there's a couple versions of this running around. Corb is playing one with 2 copies of Frenzied Fellwing, which I feel like when it works, it's a 0 mana 3/3. But I really wanted the pirate synergy. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple flex spots. Definitely. I think Corb is running Frenzied Fellwing. It's okay. I don't like it because I tried it. I had it sitting dead in my hand sometimes, and like when it works, it kind of felt win more to me. Like if I go all in, I can have if I coin out Cannon and a 1 mana pirate, and then I'm doing a bunch of damage, and then I can play a 3/3 on top of it, and it's very good. Smork damage. I don't think it's bad at all. I was finding myself wanting more pirates for the synergy in the spots. Go for it.
Okay, so I was just going to say, if you're going to run the Fellwing version, it does change how you play a little bit, because I think you're more apt to rip Passage when you don't have a lot of mana, and you have a Swordfish up that's loaded, because I think you can like hit face and you can reliably like fish for a couple of free 3/3s, whether that's Dread Corsair or whether that's Fellwing. Like for people who are still running Fellwing in their list, like I think you can be a little bit more free on your passages, because you can rip a passage with no mana left and like kind of gamble on the fact that you're going to get something out of it. So like I do kind of like it in the list, but to your point, if the Fellwings are in there, let's say in place of the Amalgam, 10 of your 30 cards are now not pirates, and the whole deck is around Swordfish. So it is a significant.
Yeah, you want to find that pirate. You don't want to whiff.
Right. And odds are good that you won't whiff, but they're better if you have more pirates.
You know what's funny? I'll tell you something interesting. So Frenzied Fellwing is a demon. And so if you're playing Frenzied Fellwing and Amalgam, like you can find a demon, which is interesting. So there you go.
I don't know what you'd want, but that could be fun. Like, look, I got a ticket.
You got a Void Daddy for
the mirror.
What's
the 5/7 charge?
Oh, Doomguard.
The Doomguard.
Yeah, good call.
That's hilarious.
That's nuts. That's what you want, because you never have cards in your hand anyway playing this stuff.
I had one where Shudderwock played Dirty Rat on 2, and it pulled my Mr. Smite, and they just conceded. It was so
That's so funny. Everything now has charge for the rest of the game.
Nate, have you tried Cutlass Courier at all?
Yes. Yeah, actually I did. So the 2 that I experimented with, Cutlass Courier was one, and I actually like it. I do like it too. I got them from HS Replay, because so if you subscribe to HS Replay Premium, it'll look at what deck you're playing, it'll make recommendations for mulligans, and then it'll look at your deck versus other versions of your deck that are similar and show you like, oh, this deck looks like this other one, but here's the cards that are different. And then I was looking at that, and it was showing me these other 2 cards, and the win rates, like these were supposedly the higher win rate cards. It was Cutlass Courier was one, and the other was Fog Sail Freebooter.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so I tried them both, and I actually liked them a lot. And I ended up switching them out because I was chatting with 6J, and I was experimenting with it, and this is kind of what I settled on. So I think Corb's list is running the amalgams and the fellwings. I ended up with the amalgams in the 2 spot. It's kind of hit and miss, I think, for me between amalgam and freebooter. You have a weapon equipped so often that the freebooter almost always goes off, and so it's 2 damage either face or, to a minion on the board.
This deck is so thirsty for reach too. Like, hopefully it ends the game before they drop a taunt, but like it gets jammed up so hard by a taunt sometimes.
It does, and so I
liking
liked
the
it.
idea of the freebooter now.
I like the freebooter. The Amalgam of the Deep is interesting because you discover a pirate, and like, there's a lot of good pirates though. Like when you need it, like, hey, I could discover a fillet fighter, 1 damage, a plunderer to kill something off, a deckhand to go face. I've discovered smite off it before, but it's kind of hit and miss. With Wild, unfortunately, because the pool is so huge, like, it's kind of risky. And so I'm not settled on it. The other one, like you were saying, Shmoopie, is the Cutlass Courier. It's interesting. It's in that 3 mana spot, and it's what is it, a 2/5, I think?
But 2/5. It's nice when you hit it with Swordfish though, because it then becomes a Yeti for 3 mana.
Yeah,
that draws you a card. Like that's like the nuts when you hit that. But it's it's still a 3 mana card in a curve that's like you're still trying to keep low.
Well, and see, that's the thing. Like your mana cuts off at 3, with the exception of Mr. Smite, and so I don't know. It's a 2/5. The thing I like about it is that you're swinging your weapon like every turn, basically, and drawing a pirate is really good. I like that. I like drawing cards. I think it's great. Like you were saying earlier, you can rip passage. Even in this, like, you can rip passage with like 1 mana left, and it's fine because so much of your deck costs so little. And so a card like when I've got Swordfish equipped, Dread Corsair costs 0. Cutting Class costs 1, or if I rip a buck and then the Swordfish, Cutting Class now costs 0.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. So you've got your Mr. Smite, but like, Smite is great because Smite is a finisher. Drawing Smite early is a bummer, but like your whole deck, like it's an aggro deck basically.
Yeah, I like kind of sitting on Smite sometimes, and then sitting on a Dread Corsair as well. So that, like, especially if I've hit it with Swordfish, so now I'm talking about like turn 6, I have 11 burst damage. You can make the argument that, oh well, you want the game to be over before turn 6, but sometimes that's just not a reality. That's not how the draw works out.
Yeah.
Have you tried? The other thing I want to ask you, because I've seen people bring these up. Oh, 2 things I wanted to ask you. Thing 1, Puffer Fist, been nerfed.
I still like
Playing
it.
with your card, Nate?
I still like it. Yes, I did. I played with it.
I do too, but I wanted to hear what you thought.
So this is my thought on this. I was facing so much of like the mirror, and so many of these pirates have 1 health. Fillet Fighter, Buccaneer, Patches, Plunderer, South Sea Deckhand, like Shiny Finder, like they all have 1 health. And so if you're facing off against the mirror, I play the Puffer Fist and go face, and it just clears your whole board. Like, it's great. Is it worth it?
It goes face a little bit, like
and
it gets that chip damage in.
It does 1 face. I do feel like the card is still fair. It's a 3/3 instead of a 3/4. I think it's fair. If the meta shifted, could I see myself swapping out like a card for that? Maybe.
I think we still would have at least tried it if it was, and ran it, if it was this 3/3 version from the beginning.
I think so. I still enjoy it. I like it. I think it's okay.
It's a neutral Defias Cannoneer is the way I look at it. And we like Defias Cannoneer as a card. It's a different effect. Okay, it's a different effect, but it's kind of similar in how you're looking at it as how it impacts the board.
Mm-hmm.
In some situations, it's better than Defias Cannoneer. I think
like
I said last
juggler. Week. It's a knife juggler that you don't have to predict where it's going.
Right. It's just like you love the effect. So like it lost the health. but like it was probably overtuned to begin with for a neutral card.
Like,
it was probably a little too strong.
I was floored the first time I was playing in standard and someone played it with that card that gives combo gives it something poison. You give the Pufferfist poison and then it's just a full board clear.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah, Odd Rogue can still do that.
I don't know. Odd Rogue is on my list to play, like to experiment with, like after the month reverts, but
it's on the fringe for sure. I've seen a lot less of it, and I think it's because it's just not as good as just regular Pirate Rogue. But I think it's probably playable. Like it's Shmoopie playable for sure.
I saw it yesterday.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, like it's people will play it because they love it. It's like people just love it. Yeah.
I like Eviscerate in the list, and the reason I like it is because it's super easy to combo. I like it because, like you were saying, Shmoopie, if you see a taunt is scary, but Eviscerate goes over the top. Or, sometimes sometimes it's spot removal, because if your minions are all they're like high attack, low health minions, and they're super susceptible to AoEs and board clears, and like if you lose board, like you kind of just lose. But having reach is great. And again, if you very easily, like if you just rip passage, it's gonna combo. I felt very comfortable with Eviscerate in the list. I really like it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's pretty close. What?
Have you tried Sinister Strike in that little burn slot? Because I've seen a lot of people swear up and down that they like Sinister Strike. You don't have to combo it. It's always 3. It's cheap. I guess that's the logic behind it. I thought it was interesting. I haven't experimented it with myself yet.
Yeah, no, I thought about it. And there was at one point, this is a while ago, but I got I think it was a super aggro Odd Rogue. It was kind of a creation between Swagwar and Martian Boo.
Right.
Wolf Riders and whatnot.
Yeah,
that thing.
The Argent Commanders and the Horse Riders, the Wolf Riders.
Was that still Nitro Boost was one?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the gen. Okay, yeah.
And so I thought about adding Sinister Strike. I just I don't know. I like Eviscerate better because sometimes I need to remove a taunt,
Yep.
And
I feel that.
I want to be able to select my target. Again, this is not perfect. It's just it's close, and I'm very comfortable with it.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't think it's settled yet, and Amalgam of the Deep is kind of hit and miss. I really like Fogsail Freebooter as well. I don't know. It's very close. We'll keep playing it. But the list is fun. It's super fast.
The only thing I run in my list that's a little different from yours is again for THL, because I'm expecting certain decks, and so I'm targeting certain decks. I actually think I removed a Pufferfist for Smothering Starfish.
Yeah, you could. There's some tech.
Silences everything. So if I'm expecting free Shaman, they freeze my board. I drop my Smothering Starfish. My stuff's not frozen anymore, and nothing has taunt, which has some benefits. I think maybe with the mech decks, you might see that tech come in, but it is definitely tech W. It's not. This is a deck that wants to do its own game plan and do its thing. That might be. I like it as a possibility because especially with Smothering Starfish, the 3 mana 2/4, its stats are fine for the cost. A little disadvantage, but the effect can be powerful enough there where it's all right, while it taunts, no more.
Yeah. So I played about 45 games. I had a 61% win rate. And this was experimenting with stuff, and part of it was played before the nerfs, and so it's I don't know. I like it. Though. I recommend it. If anybody wants
the next big aggro deck. I think this is what you're going to see everywhere on ladder eventually when people finally decide they've had enough of Nerf's Pirate Warriors. This is the next spam and aggro deck. Because it's pretty honestly, it's pretty affordable. You probably already have patches and you probably already have Smite. Especially if you're a standard player transitioning over, you probably already have Smite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You may craft patches, you may not, but most people will have these, and there's even a Drekthar version that I don't think is better.
I don't like the Drek version. I think it's
play it.
You can. I think it's bait. I saw it, and I thought about it, and I just like so many of these minions have battle cries. I mean, Drekthar is definitely a stat dump, and I'll give it that. But like when it pulls your Shiny Finder and your Amalgam and your Plunderer and your Fillet Fighter, it's like, eh. I mean, it thins your decks and it puts stats on the board, so it's okay. But like, I'm not sold on it. Yeah. Anyways, we got some other decks to talk about. This one's fun. It's kind of my personal favorite at the moment. But we have a handful of others. So let's talk about the next one up is Reno Paladin, which I thought at first. So this is great. Like NHL was posted something like, I don't know, a couple weeks back or whatever, that like this is like the sleeper, but I don't think it's bait. There's a lot of different versions floating around right now, and I don't think that it's settled. And so like I don't think that this is necessarily like the perfect 30, but the deck just has so many options that it wins games. It's greedy as all get out, but I think it's pretty good. Do you know, Shmoopie, who's this version from?
I grabbed it from the latest from Neon's site. I am not sure. Do you want me to read off the cards that are in it?
Yeah, if you can, and sure. While you do that, I'll see if I can find who made it. But...
There's so the 1-drops are Animated Broomstick, Crystology, and Knight of Anointment. The 2-drops are City Tax, Dirty Rat, Equality, which has recently reverted back to original Equality.
Yeah.
So remember with City Tax. Hand of a Doll, Red Scale Dragon Tamer, Zephyrus the Great. The 3-drops are Alliance Bannerman, Bronzebeard, High Priest Thakal, Lord Barov, again, another nice combo with City Tax, Righteous Defense, Rustrock Viper, Zola the Gorgon. The 4-drops in this particular list are Blade Master Okani, Blade Master Samuro, Nozdormu the Timeless. Nozdormu is really important here because we're going to have some really beefy top end. The 5-drops are Lotheb, Zilliax. Reno is the only 6-drop. The 7-drops are Lightforce Carriel, Mutanus the Devourer, and the Leviathan. This deck doesn't work without Lightforge Carriel. Lightforge Carriel is the whole reason this deck exists.
Yeah.
I think the most modern version that came about in Alterac was basically Otters messing around with like pull Celts into hero cards, and he figured out that pull Celts into Lightforge Carriel was really, really, really freaking good. Which is why I'm a little sus on this top end, but let's talk about the top end. It has Varian, King of Stormwind, as an 8-drop. The 9-drop is Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. And then the 10-drop that's not really a 10-drop is Lakalar the Ice Lord, because you're almost always taking so much damage that he costs 5. Raid Boss Onyxia, who's pretty broke. And a 20-drop Molten Giant, which is never a 20-drop, because you're playing it on turn 3 after you've played High Priest Thakal.
Right, yeah, that's a gnarly combo.
18 legendaries.
Yeah, it is definitely, and I don't know if all these legendaries are necessarily the best. I think you could definitely, like, it's debatable whether or not you cut down the top end so that you can put in Pull Celt so that you reliably get Carriel and go from there. But the deck is just so sticky, especially if you get the Carriel up, Thakal yourself at 1 health. Play Reno, you're with Carriel up, you're looking at essentially you've got functionally 116 health.
Oof.
And you could be 5 cards behind in fatigue, or you could be 5 cards ahead in facing this, and you're really behind in fatigue because Carriel's effect also impacts fatigue. So like turn 1 in fatigue, you take 1. Turn 2 in fatigue, you take 1. Turn 3 in fatigue, you take 2. Right, and goes from there where it's delaying the effects, and you've got so much healing built into the lineup. It's very sticky. It's very anti-aggro, and even Carriel's initial effect where she comes out and plays Consecration essentially, and you get a weapon swing. This is one of the decks that is performing, I think, very well into Pirate Rogue right now.
Oh, yeah,
that's why this is on the map.
You just cannot deal with, like, there's endless board clears here. There's weapon destruction, there's healing, there's armor. there's Divine Shield. Like, it's just a nightmare to deal with. Samuro, Okani. It's like the greediest greed, but like it works for some reason. There's a question in chat. Thoughts on both Finleys in this? Like, why not add 2 more legendaries to this? I think that you know.
So I don't like Finley of the Sands because of the anti-synergy with Cariel. So maybe you do care. Maybe you don't care about that because it is a Reno list. But that's one of the benefits to having Cariel on this list is like you can kind of sit back and play Rope-a-Dope, and they're just smacking you in the face, and you're just hitting button with Cariel. And I had somebody play like a 29-34 Samuro against me.
Yep.
The other day as their last card.
Or a giant taunt when they drop a same thing like a 15/15 Zilliax and like
spooky. It's like, oh my god, what is that? And so like I think Finley of the Sands is great if you get him before turn 7.
Yeah, agreed.
Turn 7, he kind of becomes a dead card unless you're changing game plans somehow. So as far as like little Finley goes, I think that's really interesting.
Spinley.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting because what are you going to be getting at? You're going to be if it was, let's say if we had Polkelt in here, you're guaranteed to get the bottom end of your list, which would get you city tax, which would get you equality. So I think if you're running Polkelt, I think you very much consider getting a little Finley in here.
City tax is just cheating. I hate that card.
yeah, it's so good. It's so good in the Pirate Rogue. It's like one of the reasons it's doing well. I mean, you get Dirty Rat, you get access to your Zephyrus. I think it's a good shout. If you're running Polkelt, and I'm actually like I said, this was the latest list. I think this list is maybe like a touch on the greedy side, but it's just an example of what it's trying to do. Like, I think the Leviathan's new card, so like you play it and it's fun. And also, what's cool is like, again, if we were playing Polkelt, the Leviathan is reliably getting at the bottom of your deck. So like if let's say you were playing something like Boar, post Polkelt, like you're like, all right, I'm never going to see Boar again unless I shuffle somehow. Leviathan's going to dredge that up. So I think like with the dredge, especially with the dredge mechanics, this list is not solved. And there's a lot of permutations I think you can play with it.
Yeah.
It looks like a pile of cards, but like it plays like it has answers, primarily based on the fact that Cariel just soaks up so much damage and buys you so much time that you can afford to just kind of like pull stuff out of your butt for 15 minutes.
It's the truth though. Like
shorter.
I cannot tell you how many times I'd get somebody down to like 10 health or less, and it's like Cariel. You're like, oh great. Okay. Now they're taking on. I've won after Cariel, but like it's hard because they're taking half damage, and then they armor, and then they Reno, and you're like, all right, button.
Bye.
It's So, but I agree. Like, I don't think that this deck is solved. I think that it's close, but it doesn't need to be. There's flex spots. I mean, if I go through this, like, there's some cards, It's interesting. I think that, the Thakal Molten Giant combo is always going to be great. Samuro with any sort of hand buff is always going to be great. Your board clear combos, so Lord Barov with equality and city tax, those are great. Broomstick. When I'm looking at this, I've got Viper so that I can play it against the weapon classes, the rogue in particular. Varian is just a giant pain to deal with. Trying to think, like, your Lotheb and Zilliax are always going to be good. There's an interesting combo here with the Murloc card. It's called Red Scale Dragon. I can't read it because it's too small. Dragon Tamer. Red Scale Dragon Tamer. It's a 2-mana Murloc that says when it dies, you draw a dragon. So this will pull your Nozdormu the Timeless or your Onyxia, which I feel like there's a little bit of anti-synergy, or your Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. See, I think there's a little anti-synergy. The idea is you want Nozdormu the Timeless to get 10 mana, and then you can play all your greedy stuff. And so, I don't think that this list is perfect, but it's awfully close, and it's very fun.
I think it's really cool that we have a viable Reno Paladin to play though, because I've made Reno Dragon Paladins in different iterations of Reno Paladin in the past, and they've never been good. So I just kind of jam them in casual for fun, and we got something that is actually doing pretty decent on the ladder. So I want to rip this one.
yeah, it's super fun. All right, next up we've got a Shudderwock Shaman. A big shocker that Shudderwock or Freeze Shaman or whatever you want to call it is still good. Because of course it is. So here's a list. I had a question about this like pre-show, and we are holding off talking to. I think there's a couple questionable cards in here, but I'm interested to hear the thoughts. Is this from Hearthstone decks, like a neon site?
I got this from most recent HearthstoneDecks.net, and
Nice.
It has a couple cards that I think are worth talking about. You want to read the list? You want me to?
I'll read it real quick. So this is we over the past months, like we have seen many different iterations of this. I love the deck. I think that it's this is like the Tech W deck of all decks. So this particular version, and again, I think that this deck is made up of like nothing but tech cards, and so there's probably 5 or 6 like tech spots that you can swap out depending on what you're seeing. But here's the latest iteration, right? 2 copies of Armor Vendor, 1 Toxfin, 1 Bullner Hammerback. I can't read it. Hammer Beak, whatever it is. 2 Devolves, 2 Dirty Rats, 1 Firemancer Flurgle, 2 copies of Ice Fishing, 2 Brilliant Macaws, 2 Gluttonous Ooze, 2 copies of Healing Rain, 2 copies of Primal Dungeoneer, Blade Master Okani, 2 copies of Serenite Chain Gang, 1 copy of Boom Pistol Bully, 1 Lotheb, 1 Grumble, World Shaker, 1 Skulking Geist, 2 Snowfall Guardians, 1 copy of the Lurker Below, and Shudderwock on the top end. This is some cards right here. I think that I have questions. I think that you probably have answers, and I think that I understand the reason, but like some interesting cards. Yeah. So there's 2 copies of Ice Fishing. I think that that's probably pretty good if you're seeing a lot of aggro or board-based decks, because you're you're just upping your consistency to draw the Flurgle Tox combo. Yeah. And so if you have a dead one, it is what it is. I do not like Mutinous.
The come into issue, right? Like
it is, but like that's how you don't die. And so, 1 Ice Fishing, 2 Ice Fishing, I think either is fine, but upping it to 2 increases your consistency. I do not like Mutinous in Shudderwock list because it messes up your Ice Fishing. There's so many times like I would laugh because like my opponent would rip Ice Fishing and then not play anything, and I was like, oh, they drew Mutinous, right? It is what it is. The interesting cards in this one are there's 2 copies of Gluttonous Ooze, which is interesting. I think that you could swap it out for Viper, but I get the rationale, Shmoopie. Why don't you tell the listeners? I don't like it, but I see it.
Yeah, the reason why you might run Ooze, I think, by the way, I think the current ecosystem in general is Pirate Rogue is doing very well into Shaman right now. So I think this list is like a overreaction to teching against Pirate Rogue. So the Gluttonous Ooze is like you used to play them against Kingsbane because over, let's say, something like Sticky Finger, because Glut Ooze not only destroyed the Kingsbane, but it also healed up a Kingsbane swing. So I think that's the rationale for why they would run that as Swordfish tech. Though, Nate, I'm kind of inclined with you. Like that could very easily be Viper and not a big deal. As far as just like the Glut Ooze is. You made a noise when you saw the Healing Rains, though.
Oh, dude, I don't like Healing Rain. I don't. I think that's 2 cards that you could put something better in. Now I get it. So that's
part of the Pirate Rogue tech, though. Right?
It is. So here's what happens, right? My opponent
just doesn't seem proactive to me, right? That's my problem with it.
It's not, and so it's like when I play Hearthstone, I want to play to win as opposed to playing to not lose. And so, like, okay, if I'm playing a Reno version, I'll add one. But this is running 2 copies. And so when I watch people play it, and then I complain because they heal a lot. And then I complain because they put a bad card in their deck. And that's my personal opinion. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But, like, I just, like, you could put something different in that spot instead that I think would be better. I don't know. I get it. It's definitely aggro tech, and I've lost games because of it. But like, I still don't like it.
How many games have they lost having that in their hand when they could have something else? Another reason why I think you might actually knock the Healing Rain in this list. I know I shared this, but like this was the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
And this seemed like an overreaction again to Pirate Rogue because that matchup apparently is tough for the Shaman.
The Rogue is just so fast. You know, they really have to they have to stall and heal and clear, and you know.
I think Devolve is so important in this meta with all the mech decks because the ecosystem is kind of Pirate Rogue feeds on Shaman. Shaman absolutely dumpsters the mech decks. And we can talk about how the mech decks do into the rest of the field, but in largely they're dumpstering the mech decks because they run Devolve. And so maybe the correct Shaman list is only running 3 spells. 1 Ice Fishing, 2 Devolves. Ice Fishing gets you a board clear. Devolves gets you the next best thing, especially in some cases into, like, let's say a Mech Paladin, better than Ice Fishing because they might have a bunch of Divine Shields up and you need to just take stats off the board, reduce them down, hopefully not put any mechs on the boards for magnetizing. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's another case for cutting Healing Rain and an Ice Fishing just because maybe you only want 3 spells.
I like devolving missiles as well, actually. And again,
I've seen that.
It depends.
I've seen that, and maybe you run 2 copies of those instead of Healing Rain because just that's what the meta is.
They're meta dependent. You know, I like them though because, and it depends what you're playing. Anything like the mechs, Divine Shield or Death Rattle or Magnetic, like it just nukes them, and I like that quite a bit. This does go. Let's see. It runs 2 copies of Serenite Chain Gang, which I think is interesting. Again, I think this is highly teched against the Rogue because Serenite Chain Gang has the taunt, but also if you play Chain Gang and Zola the Gorgon and Grumble, like you can go infinite late game with Shudderwock, and so don't play Shudderwock until you've played all those, so that you get infinite Shudderwocks. The other card in here that I think is kind of interesting, well, there's 2. Skulking Geist, I think was good when Quest Hunter was everywhere, but now it doesn't seem as good. Now, that being said, like,
agreed.
We'll talk about it in a minute. Quest Mage is a deck, but like, I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps as much as like.
It doesn't because they have so many. They use coins.
They do, and it doesn't like. Yeah. I mean, it nukes. Okay, so it nukes Evocation, it nukes First Flame, it nukes Ray of Frost.
Like it's not insignificant. It slows them down, and maybe that's all you need with this to buy time. Like you're looking for Lothep, you're looking for Grumble. I'd argue a better tech would be Neophyte if that's really a concern.
I don't know. Yeah.
But instead of a 6-drop, but I get the appeal of Skulking Geist. Like maybe you're just looking to buy time.
There's a reason that I have it in gold, so I mean I'm not gonna say that it's bad. The Lurker Below is certainly a card, and again, this is one that like people play, and then it eats my whole board, and I rage, and then I wonder like, why do you put this card in this deck? Like, I don't love it.
That one I think is fine actually. Lurker doesn't bug me so much.
It's not bad.
I haven't played as much Shaman as
it works. I just don't like. I'd put it in a Reno list, but I don't love it here. It's fine.
Yeah, sure.
It's fine. I don't know. Again, this is like. I think the theme tonight is going to be like these decks are like about 25 cards like solid gold, and then 5 or 6 cards that are like swap them out for whatever you're seeing or whatever you need them for.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. I mean, this deck ain't going anywhere. It's solid.
No.
It's good against a lot of things. The oozes. I don't know. I like Viper better, but I understand the ooze gives you armor.
I think that honestly, Free Shaman is in one of the best positions it's been in, maybe even better than it was in Alterac, because I think if your worst matchup is Pirate Rogue, and I don't know that it is or it isn't, but early indications seem to be that like Pirate Rogue is just farming it right now. Shaman can tech for Pirate Rogue. Pirate Rogue can't really alter its game plan all that much.
Nope.
To then iterate around what Shaman does.
No,
so
yeah, you're basically all in, and you just gotta hope that they don't have it.
Real danger that Shudderwock Shaman is just in a position to be the meta tyrant, because I think Pirate Rogue is going to be good enough and fast enough that you can't discount it, you can't ignore it. Kind of in the same way where Pirate Warrior was kind of like warping the meta to a certain extent, and then whoever was the king of the second fiddles was just sort of driving the train. So you saw up at High Legend things like Combo Priest, things like Free Shaman, kind of ruling the roost. But all the decks at High Legend beat Pirate Warrior. So like in a weird way, Pirate Warrior was warping the meta, which I think Pirate Rogue is going to do. And if that's the case, I would expect this deck to be, close to the top of tier 1. If it's not the best deck, it's going to be up there with, as far as just like it has so many neutral matchups and it can tech for whatever it wants to tech against. Like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a couple fun ones to talk about now. So let's move on, because Shudderwock is been around for a little bit. So Mech Paladin. Here's Radar Detector, 2 mana, draw 5. Okay, I don't have a lot of experience with this deck. I watched Jordan play the other day, and the deck is solid. I mean, I think between Mech Warper and Galvanizer and Radar Detector, like you got these giant swing turn stat dump, like full board full of stuff, and if they can't clear it, like they're in big trouble. But
it's the list is 2 Glotrons, 2 Annoyotrons, 2 Galvanizers, 2 Mech Warpers. This list is running 2 Micro Mummies, 2 Radar Detectors, 2 Security and Automations, 2 Shotbots, 2 Asharan Mooncatchers, 2 Flying Machines. What's the flight plan? 2 Skyclaws, 1 Snip Snap, 2 Stonehearth Vindicators. The only spell they're pulling is Radar Detector,
yep.
And I actually think that's correct. It's crazy to me that we're cutting Christology from a Paladin list, but I think it's actually correct in this case, because you always want to hit Radar Detector because it's such a nutty card, especially because the only other cards in this list that are not mechs are Radar Detector and Stonehearth Vindicator. So it's almost always a 2 mana draw 5.
Yep.
2 Replicating Menaces, 2 War Gears, and 1 Zilliax. This is like a low to the ground list. It's not running the bubble bots, which I think might be a mistake because that card is insane.
Ahoy, hoy!
If you guys have ever, I don't know how much you guys have faced it, Nate. I'm sure you like have nightmares about bubble bot. As
you know
a
what?
pirate room.
Yes. At some point, like if they if they play one thing or two things, like if they brick draw and are only playing like 1 card a turn, like all right, I'll clear them and send everything else face. But if they do a full on board dump and then they give everything Divine Shield, like I'm just shipping everything face and it's a race at that point. And you can't, bubble bot is like the nightmare.
Divine Shield and Taunt. Gross.
Oh god. Oh, the taunt. Yeah, no, the taunt is now just bottom right. Yeah, no, you can't.
In this particular list, I think you could very safely cut the Flying Machines and put in bubble bots.
Isn't that crazy?
Be very happy with your result.
I think so too. When I see a mech list and we're talking about cutting flying machine. It's like, what? And to see a paladin, an aggressive paladin at that, cutting call to arms. But again, I think it's the right move. I think and Blue Tray and I were talking about this the other night. I think it's like every fiber in my being is telling me that call to arms needs to be in this list, but like it really doesn't.
I don't know. I think I've seen some mech lists with call to arms, but you're also running some important battle cries. Like a galvanizer's an important battle cry.
Yeah, you can't.
Maybe that's the only one. Maybe you're just risking.
No, and there's magnetic too. I mean, the Glotrons have magnetic, and
it too feels bad for me when I call to arms and I get my good battle cry cards.
No, and what Skyclaw is probably one. Now, someone mentioned Zilliax. I think that again, all of these decks, there's gonna be they're not a perfect 30.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty close. Now, I think Zilliax is a meta call. If I'm playing aggro rogue, pirate rogue, and someone plays Zilliax, I hate it because then they're gonna gain a bunch of health, and then that's delaying my game plan. Now, I think it's kind of a meta call.
Yeah.
But it's annoying to deal with as the aggro player for sure.
I think especially with Mech Paladin, the list is nowhere near solved. I think Stoneheart the Vindicator and Radar Detector is correct. But I know so. Jordan was playing the other day a list that was a little bit, it mirrored more what they're doing in standard. Cariel, Leviathan as the top end.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is if you don't overwhelm them right away with like magnetic stuff, you're just sort of sitting back with Cariel and just making massive mechs in your hand and just sort of just like little breadcrumbs, just sort of like metering them out little by little so that they have to answer them one by one. It's just gigantic threat after gigantic threat that can magnetize onto other stuff. Like he had like a 6/8, snip snap that he could have attached to anything on his board at one point. I think that's the right way to go. But I think I think regardless, in most cases, you definitely want to run Bubble Bot, especially if you're making a lot of mini bots, because it turns every single mini bot into a righteous protector. And if you're seeing mostly Pirate Rogue, the mech decks are going to love seeing Pirate Rogues.
Stop telling people this stuff.
I'm just saying they're going to love seeing Pirate Rogues. They're going to hate seeing Shaman. And this is kind of like what we're setting ourselves up for.
Yeah.
Or what the meta is sort of forming, where like the mech decks look really good into everything except for Shaman. So
that's fair.
I think this is here to stay. It has a place in the ecosystem. You're going to see it day one a lot.
Yeah.
I think maybe slightly less than Pirate Rogue, but you're going to see it. And whether it's this sort of low to the ground version, low to the curve version, which is more traditional, like we did low to the curve, and then so that like Galvanizer, Mech Worker make everything nothing, and then we buffed it up. I think you're going to start seeing more of a standard list where it's got Cariel and it's going for a little bit of a slower game plan, but it's got adaptability. Mech Paladin in some form is going to be around, and it's going to be very good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mech decks, so there's one more, Mech Mage, and so
I can read the cards off this one. This is Blue Trains.
Yeah.
So Blue Trains made this one. We got 2 copies of Click Clocker, 2 copies of Mecharoo, 2 copies of Skaterbot, 2 copies of Amalgam of the Deep, 2 Annoyotrons, 2 Book of Specters, 2 Galvanizers, 2 Mech Warpers, 2 Security Automatons, 2 Chugga Snow Chuggers, 2 Star Scryers, 2 Trench Survivors, 2 Mecha Shark and 2 Seafloor Gateways, 1 Snip Snap, and 1 Gaia the Tectonic. This entire list up until the end tops out at 3 mana, but Gaia is the only 8 mana card. So this is extremely low to the ground and disgusting, by the way, because I've thought that I had a god opening turn being the Pirate Rogue, and I've just flooded the board, shipping stuff face at the beginning. They take a couple turns, they end up dropping their galvanizers, their mech warpers, their mecha shark, and then more and more and more and more mechs, and just completely destroy my board. And now I'm top decking.
Yep.
I have nothing in my hand. My board is dead, and they have a full board. So it's gross.
Yeah, this is crazy. And I think Blue Train really stumbled on something here with the Star Scryer. Like, when you look at it, it's like, huh, what? But there's only 2 spells in the whole deck, right? I've got Book of Specters, which is draw 3, discard other spells. The only other spell is Seafloor Gateway, and which is, what is it? Draw and discount all your mechs. And you want either of those, and so Star Scryer is going to draw you one of those. And you really want those. And the game plan, right, is simple. You like you said, you reduce everything. You play Mecha Shark with a bunch of like 0 cost mechs, and you just nuke their whole board. And Mecha Shark goes face as well. And like a lot of decks just can't recover from it. I think that it's easy to go in too early. Like, I think, if you do this, you want to be able to like fill up the entire board. And just overwhelm them. And then I think the list is pretty much solved, with the exception of the top end. There is Blue Train here's got Gaia the Tectonic. You could play Zilliax if you want. Gaia's super fun.
Mimiron's head, come on.
That's true. Okay, so here's the other piece. Yeah, someone mentioned it. The security automaton also. So it costs 2, but you want to play it early, right? Because then every other mech you play, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And, it's a threat as well. And if you can't deal with it, like it's just it's a problem, and it's cool. I don't know. I think the longer I play, the more I turn into a filthy aggro player, and I like the fast games. This is pretty cool.
Like dark glare level like swing turns, where you're like, dark glare used to do 3 giants and a broomstick, and all of a sudden like your board's gone and you're facing lethal damage. And this does some very similar things. I remember playing this early in the expansion against Beast Druids, and they were working so hard to get their board up, and then I would drop like a Mecha Shark and I'd make a full board of threats, and it's like, okay, what are you gonna do? Oh, you're going to concede. Oh, okay. Ditto with Quest Hunter, right? Ditto with Quest Hunter. Like, what does a Quest Hunter do, with a board full of stuff that it can't answer all at once? Like, okay, Urchin Spine into Bola Shot. Great job. You've killed 3 things. Take care of the rest. It's just, it does so much. And honestly, I think we'd be looking at it as a meta tyrant. Like, if this is the best deck in the format, it's a miserable meta. Because it's all about whether or not you've drawn the Mecha Shark. The Star Scryer in this list is brilliant because it's always drawing the fuel for the Mecha Shark, or it's drawing the Mecha Shark. Gaia as the finisher, you're never paying 8 mana for that. You're never paying 8 mana for that. That's coming down at 6 mana. That's coming down at 7 mana. That's coming down at 5 mana sometimes. As a finisher, and you've usually got a board that's big enough that you take advantage of it. But again, this is pretty good into Pirate Rogue. So that's your main food source. I think it's fairly matched into the mech deck. It does not give a damn about Reno Paladin because it does its damage one at a time. So Cariel isn't an advantage, except for like when you're attacking with your board. But the shark pop-offs, it doesn't care.
No,
Gaia pop-offs, it doesn't care.
That's the beauty of the shark with Cariel is like, half it always rounds up, right? So 1 damage is 1 damage.
1 damage is 1 damage.
Yep.
Doesn't care. It's like Cariel versus Cthulhu Druid. Okay, good job. I'm going to deal 1 damage to you 30 times. You died.
Most of these minions are smaller anyway. It's not like Dark Glare where you're slamming them in the face with 8/8s, right? You got a board full of small minions, big,
but that's it, right? So yeah. But again, like the recurring theme, dumpstered by Shaman. Shaman destroys this deck. Which again is like, it's like, are we setting ourselves? This is like the meta that I fear, is that we're setting ourselves up for like Pirate Rogue, obnoxious mech decks, free Shaman, which say no more as far as obnoxiousness goes.
Yeah. No, this is solid. And, it's interesting. I think the other piece is there's lots of people experimenting with different versions of this. Is this the perfect 30? I don't know. It's awfully close. And, I don't know if, just like I was playing a lot of Pirate Rogue, who comes up with the perfect 30? I don't know. I don't know that I can take credit for. That's just what I've been playing.
This looks like the perfect 29, and if it's not that, if it's
awfully
not the perfect
close.
30, it's the perfect 29. This is really close.
I love that it's 2022 and we're playing Snow Chugger in Mech Mage.
That's the best part.
It costs 0. It costs 0.
I'm really tempted to Goldcraft this.
This is the cutting edge tech. I think this. Unlike the Mech Paladin deck, which I think is unrefined, unlike the Reno Paladin deck, which I think is really unrefined, I would comfortably bring this to THL and think nothing of it. Been okay, this is the latest tech.
Yeah, and actually, the snow
is really solid.
The Snow Chugger hitting face and freezing, that's infuriating. As when I've got a weapon equipped, and now I can do nothing.
And Nate, think about this. You have to choose as a Pirate Rogue. You probably have to choose between. Let's see, what else is in this? You have to choose between Noyotron to kill. You've got to choose between Snow Chugger, the Mecha Sharks out there, right?
They're all threats. That's
getting bigger.
You can't.
And notably, bravely, Blue Train is running Skaterbot in here, which I love, because another little hidden synergy that'll happen in there is let's say you have the Mecha Shark down. You throw down Mecharoo, you can Skaterbot the Mecharoo. You will not get a Shark proc for magnetizing, but then you can rush in the Mecharoo. The Mecharoo pops. You've killed something that has 2 health left, and the little Mecharoo pops out. Now you get a Shark pop off because it's summoning a weapon. There's just I love the Skaterbots because people keep cutting them, but I think a free broom for 1 minion is still so relevant, especially because once this deck takes the board, it doesn't lose it. Not unless it's playing something like Shaman or maybe something like Priest that can wrestle it back. But it's basically it's the nuts. I really like this list. I think this list is pretty much there.
I think so too, and I agree with Blue Train. I don't like GorillaBot actually. I feel like there's way too many mechs in Wild to discover. GorillaBot is fine in Standard.
That felt like let's play new card, new reverted card. Ooh,
yeah. GorillaBot in Standard is fine because the pool is small, but in Wild, the pool is gigantic, and then you're gonna end up with a Sneed's Old Shredder or something you really don't want, right?
Similar to playing the Amalgam.
Right? Yeah, it's hit and miss, and I'm not sold 100% on the Amalgam,
But Amalgam costs 2. That's the thing. It's the Amalgam's going to cost 0 a lot of times, whereas the GorillaBot still costs 1, right? So the Amalgam I can forgive because I think it's cheap enough. That card's busted. It's cheap enough that it doesn't matter. The GorillaBot though is all right, what am I really trying to discover here? This deck doesn't need that much discover scams. Though I will say, if it doesn't have the draw cards, being able to print a hand for yourself can be important. For a while, we were running a super low curve and a Lunith in this list early in the expansion, right? Because you
need to draw.
We need to draw that badly.
Yeah,
we need to draw that badly to refuel for Shark. So I get why you'd run GorillaBot. I like this list so much better.
Yeah, I do too. Well, hey, we got one last list to cover real quick before we get into our listener challenge, and so let's do the one last list here. But big shout out to our good friend Blue Train. This is a super fun deck, and I think it's very viable too. So this is probably what I'll be climbing with when the ladder resets in next week. So, all right, here we go. The last list that we're covering tonight. Not to say that there aren't other good ones. In fact, Slizzle, our buddy's got a YouTube video, I think just came out, with a bunch of decks to climb with, post-nerf, on the Wild Ladder. So check that out, Slizzle466 on YouTube. Here is the last one that we're covering tonight, is an updated version of Quest Mage. I think this deck is it's difficult to play. It's very rewarding if you play it right. It's infuriating to play against because at some point they get just infinite turns. So Quest Mage, this version, it's the Open the Waygate Quest Mage. All right, so here's the list. 1 copy of Evocation, 2 copies of First Flame, 1 copy of Open the Waygate, 2 Ray of Frost, 1 Sir Spinley Sea Guide, 1 Ancient Mysteries, 2 Conjure Mana Biscuit, 2 Licensed Adventurer, 2 Mailbox Dancers, 2 Research Projects, 2 Arcane Intellect, 1 Bronzebeard, 1 Crush Claw Enforcer, 2 Ice Blocks, 1 Commander Shivara, 2 Multicasters, 2 Potion of Illusion, 1 Vardant Dawn Grasp, and 2 Grey Sage Parrots. I think that this deck is I don't know if this version is the perfect 30. I feel like it's very close, and I've seen a lot of people running it lately. And I'm not. I don't know that it's solved, but it's awfully close. So here's the basic idea, right? And there's a couple spicy combos here. So even after the old nerf, Open the Waygate, what does it play? 8 spells that didn't start in your deck. And so you get a spell from First Flame, you get another one from Ray of Frost, you get one from Conjure Mana Biscuit, Mailbox Dancer gets you a coin. Commander Shivara lets you replay stuff, right? So play 3 spells while Commander Shivara is in your hand, you get them again. Multicaster draws you a bunch of stuff. Anyhow, so there, and then of course Evocation. There's a couple spicy combos here with Evocation. If you play Evocation and then Sir Spinley, right? So you fill up your hand full of cards. Spinley will just shuffle them back into your deck. So there's that. You've got and then once you play the combo, so the quest reward costs 5, and then basically you just Grey Sage Parrot, which will just replay it. That's why there's
more over and over and over again.
Yeah. Over and over. So I can brand Parrot. I can then I can Potion of Illusion on the Parrot.
Take 2 more turns.
All of the parrots.
It's gross, and you just lock your opponent out. Now I'm always gonna miss. I feel weird without playing Quest Mage without the giants feels weird to me. But when you have infinite turns, you can kill your opponent with a 4/5 or whatever the parrot is.
Yeah.
You just don't need an 8/8 because you don't get 2 turns. You get 4, 5, 6 turns, and you just lock your opponent out. The deck is hard to play sometimes. You got to get the ice block down, and the second ice block down, and sometimes you get another ice block with Commander Shivara, and
sometimes you get 2 ice blocks with Commander Shivara.
Yeah,
or more with Evocation.
That's great. Now
Shivara is really cracks this list open because you can play for if you have her in her hand and you play something like First Flame, when you eventually play her, not only does the second copy of First Flame end up giving you the back half end up giving you a quest tick, but the front half does too. So if she's in your hand and you play First Flame, Ray of Frost, you're talking about when you eventually play her 4 quest ticks. If you play coins while you have her in her hand, she prints you mana. I played 4 ice blocks against Pirate Rogue the other day because I played 2.
Just
I played 1 with
bit.
Commander Shivara in my hand, and then I found a way to bounce the Shivara, and then I played a couple more ice blocks, and essentially I just stalled for time until I could play infinite turns with my parrots, and there was nothing they could do. It's that kind of solitaire combo thing, and the thing is this deck is weakened to hyper aggro.
Mm-hmm.
So Pirate Rogue is going to be your natural enemy here. So I've seen 1 or 2 lists do weird stuff like cut an ice block for a flame ward. I do not recommend that. I think that is that is making your deck better into a bad matchup, but much worse everywhere else.
No.
That's tossing some copium.
Do that.
You can't do that. I've seen something like -1 mailbox dancer for an ignite. I kind of like that. But with the because as you're taking turns, maybe you need a little help getting into the druids. The druids can out armor you.
Yeah.
But what's kind of a neat combo that you can use Sir Finley for is, let's say you're getting towards the end of your deck. You need to take a billion turns, but you're reaching fatigue and your opponent's popped you at 1. What do? You play Evocation, you play Sir Finley. He replaces all the cards in your hand with cards from your deck. Well, you don't have any cards in your deck, so your entire hand gets shuffled into your deck, and now you have like another like 7-8 cards against fatigue that you can finish doing your combo. This is like multicasters in here, so you're drawing like crazy. The Arcane Intellect is something that's been going in and out. I stole this list from Nops, who is like I think he got up to like top 10 with this, top 15 casually, just playing this list. So I think if you're
casual top 15.
Yeah, casual top 15. If you're playing against the slower decks, this is like a deck that's going to do really well at high meta because you're not going to see as much aggro. People are going to just naturally kind of like gravitate up there towards typically, some slower, greedier lists because they enjoy playing them more. But I think this deck is like serviceable enough into aggro that like if slow druid becomes a thing because it preys on pirate rogue, like if Oaken summons into Vargoth Marauder is the nuts again, this deck kicks that deck's butt. Like this deck can handle a Reno Paladin. This deck can handle strategies like if Shudderwock doesn't lock you out and doesn't rat your parrots, you beat Shudderwock Shaman. So like this deck I think
it punishes the greedy decks for sure.
It fills a niche that is very different from the other decks where I think it's almost like a cyclical like pirate feeds on shaman feeds on mechs by and large feed on rogue. Reno Pally is somewhere in there kind of feeding on the rogues.
You know what?
Kind of can mix it up with the mechs.
That reminds me.
By shaman. This is kind of like in a very different headspace that isn't going away. You're going to see this deck less places, and it is successful. I think it's for real. I think it's here to stay.
Wait, this is great. The I think it was 6J and Blue Train made a little graphic here. I'm just going to put it up on the screen because this is what you're talking about here. This is funny. This is the food chain right here. All right, it's a little big. Hold on. This is from Blue Train and 6J. So pirate fish rogue beats up on free shaman and quest mage. Quest mage beats up on free shaman and control druid. The mechs and inner fire beat up on the pirate rogue and the quest mage. Control druid beats up on the mechs and the priest and the pirate rogue, and the even lock beats up on all the stuff.
That's interesting with the even lock. Even lock sneaky good. That's one that I've been seeing more of, but I hadn't made the connection yet. That makes a lot of sense. I wonder.
I'm gonna make this my background for the next while.
I like it. Yeah, no, this is the. I love it. No, this is great. This is the unofficial.
I wonder if Druid's that bad, but I wonder if Druid's that bad into it. But at the same time, that makes a ton of sense.
I love this. I actually think so. This is funny. There's a link to the tweet. Blue Train just shared it, and I can post it in the show notes. But the it says here. This is from April 27th, so it's recent. The totally non-scientific hot take tier list, and I actually think it's. I remember when Blue Train posted this, and I told him I think this is actually pretty accurate here. So I'll
maybe we're in for an even lock summer.
You know what? Okay, so we were in the Discord the other day, and I was watching Rotted play, who of course is like prolific, even Warlock player or Warlock in general player, but and so he makes it look easy, but I really like it. Would you trust Tempo Storm over this? Yeah, probably, but this is fun. I love hot takes. So this is the hot take again. Do you take it with a grain of salt? Okay. Totally non-scientific hot take tier list. Tier 1, Fish Rogue, even Warlock, Free Shaman. Tier 2, Inner Fire Priest, Mech Paladin, Mech Mage, Control Druid. Tier 3, Quest Mage. And there you go. 6J's spicy selection of the month, Quest Mage. I like that. I saw Jay playing a lot of it. good player makes the deck look easy to play. Deck is pretty hard to play, but I love it. This is fun. This is fun.
It is fun, and like I played like a Reno Naga version.
Yes, that exists.
So cool because it was kind of riffing a little bit off on like the standard Naga Mage with like the Naga Dark Lair kind of minion where you play a Naga, you print 2 mana. It had school teacher, so it was like making the little mat. So like you were gaining mana, and then you'd play a 1 mana spell, so you were gaining mana again. And I had some turns where I roped out and I like finished with like 9 mana. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got this big board, and I completed my quest. So I think like even like this is like your slim down hot rod like super good version of the deck, but I think like more memey or out there takes on the deck, spicy takes on the deck are also viable, which is like usually an indication that the power level of the deck is good enough and it's viable enough in a meta that you can get away with that, which is kind of like what you'd see with the Reno Paladin, right? Like just to bring it back to the Reno Paladin, like that's not the deck list I would necessarily recommend to somebody to craft in gold right now because the deck's still getting refined. But the fact that you can get away with that pile of cards tells you that there's something there,
Right.
right? Like it's here to stay. It's just what's the proper combination, or is it that good that you can just play what you want as long as you have the staples and just go with that.
Well, for those of you listening to the audio version, I put there's a brand new Tempo Storm meta snapshot that just came out today. I have not read it yet.
Me neither. I should have.
So I didn't. I've been stuck at work all day. I'll post the list in the Discord and in the show notes and on the Twitch chat here. So, okay.
I mean, yeah, Blue Train's hot take is not far off.
Right. So they are saying
I'm reacting live. Let's see.
They're saying 2 versions. So tier 1, this is Tempo Storm. Tier 1,
okay.
Minion, Innerfire Priest, Pirate Rogue, Freeze Shaman, Even Warlock. Tier 2, Mech Paladin, Mechathune Warlock, Aggro Priest, Questline Hunter, Beast Druid, Mech Mage. Yeah, it's not far off. Not far off. So anyways.
I've been waiting to see more Minion Innerfire Priest because Crab Rider's unnerfed.
Right.
Your card's still good. It has silence effects, which are good into mechs. Mechs can't answer an early Crab Rider that's buffed. I just haven't seen it on ladder. Like I nobody's played it, and maybe because it got no new cards.
No, but you know what though? It's because I think that the nerfs just hit. Because when the ladder was nothing but Kael'thas Druid and Switcheroo Priest, like
you couldn't play that deck.
You couldn't play it, but now you probably can. And so again, this is all very new. I mean, the nerfs just came in on Tuesday. The patch was late, and so anyways, it's interesting. I don't know.
That has been a deck that's on my radar. I'm like, well, like Devour just eats mini bots, so. And it's going to dumpster Pirate Rogue. Like you drop I don't know what the list looks like, but you drop a Dreadlord, or even if you drop a Web Lord, like there's so many battle cries in the Pirate Rogue list that's going to slow you down.
The Web Lord, and then whatever card it is that eats 1 health from everything, like
Devour,
yeah. There's your whole board, and then there's a big taunt in the way, like it seems good. I will say, like with those 2 decks out of the way, it really opens up things, and the meta is actually fairly diverse. I think it's actually, dare I say, healthy at the moment. So
I have to see what day 1 looks like, but like I've been fishing around D10 to like low legend MMR back and forth, like alternating achievement hunting and then like trying meta stuff and then achievement hunting and then trying out for GHL and then achievement hunting, and like it feels like a very healthy wild right now, but everybody's trying to hit legend with their pet decks right now between D5 and D1. It's the last couple days of the meta. I lost to a Totem Shaman as an even warrior. So like that's not indicative of the meta, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like that stuff's allowed to breathe a little bit without being completely squashed out by people just jamming whatever meta report says is the best deck. So that's a good sign.
Yeah,
because I saw a lot of people still jamming Pirate Warrior.
Oh, I've still seen a decent amount of it, and I don't think it's bad. I even played it myself. For a little bit, I was playing a lot of the Pirate Rogue, and for some reason, I know they say don't switch decks, but I hit just this like streak where I lost 4 games in a row or whatever,
Sure.
and I was like, let's switch to an old classic and just grab Pirate Warrior and sailed along with it. So
yeah. All right, friends. Well, I think that's kind of like nearing the end. For this show, we've been at it for about 2 hours, and so I want to kind of wrap things up. We can always, chat more post show. But donning the hat. All right, Shmoopie. We do have a weekly challenge this week. I'm just gonna let you take it away. Well, first, let's talk about last week's because this was a fun one.
So last week, our challenge was create the wildest interaction or pattern of play using Switcheroo and Kael'thas. Both cards were getting nerfed. Both cards, there was a shorter deadline than usual because the nerf was happening on a Tuesday, so you had to get it in. Same deck. What did you do with them? Me and my caveman brain made a 24-27 taunt Kael'thas, but that's nothing compared to what our winner Ulticon did. Ulticon popped off. He played, you could play at the same turn, different turns, but your combo had to use both as critical combo pieces. Normally I pride myself on being able to piece together board states and how they got the way that they got. I played Yogg a lot. I've watched a lot of Raffle.
Ulticon is next level.
It doesn't make sense to me how he got his Kael'thas over on their side. Like, did they concede? Did they concede mid Soul Mirror? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. But he wins.
Yeah,
he wins. Like
that is, I believe now 3 weeks in a row. Ulticon giving Kenray and Mikkel a run for their money. So,
and they're all. Oh man. I was trying to figure it out, but I don't have it.
No, and if in the Discord there's a bunch of screenshots. It wasn't just this one. There was
there's like follow up to it, and like at one point he had like 3 20/20 Kael'thas on his board, and now they're on the other side. But like one of them's like I have 4 attack. I don't get it.
Yeah, so there's.
It doesn't seem like when I made this challenge though. I was just like, okay, like show me something that like completely blows my mind, and this checks all the boxes. Like, I can't even figure out how the hell he got here.
Yeah. One looks like it has Reborn, the one on the left.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know.
Maybe that was it. Maybe it's a Soul Mirror. It's mid Soul Mirror the guy conceded because the first Kael'thas had Reborn, and then that Kael'thas traded and killed that Kael'thas. So the 4 with 1 health died. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to think too hard about it because it's only going to hurt my brain further.
Right.
Well, this week's challenge, if that's okay. Do you guys have anything?
Yeah. No. Just wow. I just like
wow.
Ulticon is killing it over here. So 3 weeks in a row now, and these are like big brain plays that again. I mean, I look at it as well. I'm like, what? How? And it's been 3 weeks in a row of this. We accidentally made a near impossible challenge the prior week, asking them to do a bunch of Naga spell damage with Arcane, because all the spell damage is in Shaman and all the Arcane spells are in Mage. And Ulticon still got 60 spell damage on a 2-mana spell. Like, how, it's just, yep. All right, well, let's talk about this week.
Sure. So this week, guys, I need your help.
I can wait and fish all day.
I love achievement hunting. This is my current screen when I look at this achievement. Draw 20 cards that didn't start in your deck with Gone Fishing. So what I require of you guys this week, somebody help me make a deck to finish this fishing minigame achievement as quickly and as painlessly as possible. Their challenge this week has come up with the best idea. I've had some ideas, but I'm not happy with any of them. So like I've got a deck right now that I'm jamming, but the best I can do is 2 ticks a game. So come up with something better, share it in the Discord. The one that I like the most, you get 2 packs, and you also gain my eternal thanks, because I refuse to net deck Zeddy. I usually do these on my own, but for the sake of the show, this is a challenge enough. I'd love to see what you guys come up with.
Nice.
I have a question about this particular fishing mini game.
Sure.
So it says cards that didn't start in your deck, right?
Correct.
Does a copy of a card count towards this?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Just curious because the card started in your deck, but it's a copy of it, so it doesn't count as the original card, so it would count towards this.
To answer a question in chat, Sunken Vessel does count. Okay, but actually, believe it or not, fishing out Sunken Vessel does not count for the Sunken achievement. Don't get me started on that. But regardless, that's a whole nother kettle of fish that I'm attempting to fry simultaneously. But yes, it does count. I think that's probably like the interaction that they wanted, and they're like, okay, just do this a billion times. I don't want to do this a billion times. This deck sucks. So please help me make something that sucks less, or at least is more productive in its sucking, so that I can be done with this achievement sooner, because this is probably my least favorite one to do right now.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You can wait and fish here all day.
I can wait and fish all day.
All right. Well, all right. So here's how to participate. These challenges can be played in casual. They can be played on ladder. They cannot be played against a friend or against the innkeeper. I guess this is a little bit different because we're asking you to come up with a deck list for us to play. And again, to mirror what Shmoopie said, please post it in our Discord under the weekly challenges channel. Winner will be announced on next week's show. 2 Hearthstone packs on us. In addition to earning Shmoopie's gratitude, you'll also be immortalized in the Hall of Fame on the Born to Be Wild website. So, and if you're interested in seeing any of our past winners, they're all up there on the website. So borntobewildhs.com. If you go to the Hall of Fame, you can see all of our past challenges. There's like custom graphics for all the winners, and you can see these crazy screenshots. What the challenge was, who won it, and a screenshot of them doing the thing. Just pretty impressive a lot of times. You look at the picture and be like, how did that happen? And some absolute crazy shenanigans have been had. So, yep. All right. Well, thank you, friends. That is it for us tonight. That was a lot of fun. I love talking about decks, all these new stuff. After the nerfs is like a whole new game almost, and so I've had a great time, and the time just flies. Hey, Shmoopie, thank you so much for hanging out with us 2 weeks in a row. It's great. So very, very much love hanging out with you and appreciate you filling in for Sheep. And
well, thanks for having me again. As I said before, being a fan of the show, it's always like a dream come true to be able to contribute. So thank you for having me. And if anybody again wants to find me, I have a Twitter now.
Yeah,
you guys can get updates from the dumpster. I call them tales from the dumpster. And I share whatever spicy thing I'm doing from whatever location. You'll see whatever deck I hit legend with, but that's secondary compared to like the other 27 days of the month where I'm doing something stupid and playing something fun, or I'm playing something off meta that you won't totally get your teeth kicked in playing. So check that out. And other than that, just go to get on the Born to Be Wild Discord so that we can hang out.
Very cool. And yeah, I'll post it in the show notes as well. But if you're looking for it, it's SchmoopieDaddy on Twitter, SchmoopieDaddy. So there you go. Awesome, friends. Well, thanks again, everyone, for hanging out tonight. Thank you so much to the folks in chat. Hydra, always great to see you. And again, please join us next week. Next week, we will have our big mega announcement about the listener series, season 5. If anyone is interested in participating, for those of you who want to get a jump start, again, signups are available now, but we're revealing the whole shebang next week. So if you want to sign up sight unseen, you're welcome to do that. For our veterans or people who know that they're interested, there's the link. Mm-hmm. It's in the show notes. It's in chat. We'll post it up on the Discord and the website. But we are unveiling the whole thing next week. It's going to be spicy, and I cannot wait to share it with you because we're having a lot of fun with it. And And that pretty much wraps it up for us tonight. We will see you all next week on another new episode of Born to be Wild.
Bye, everybody.
Hooray!
Job's done.
Where did that? I have too many. The soundboard thing is too full now. I can't find the one that I'm looking for. Where is it? Where's the? Oh.